Welcome, 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 my friends. Matt here. Today we are looking at a really interesting knife. Today we are looking at the Boker Kwaiken, specifically the full-on version in Kokobola. I believe these are actually discontinued now. They make an Air version, I think. It's a slimmer, more lightweight, but we are looking at the Boker Kwaiken Kokobola. Really interesting knife. Well, I want to remind you guys real quick to like and subscribe before you continue. Almost close to 1,000, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so this is a really cool knife. You guys have seen it. If you've been watching my videos, you've seen it a lot and some size comparisons. So we're going to get into what I like, what I dislike, and something unique about this knife. But first, let's look at some size comparisons. So that is fully deployed right there. Let's look at a classic, something you guys know the size of. There you go. Benchmade Griptilian Mini. A little bit longer because this is really a full-sized knife. Let's look at something, a closer size comparison. So Rat 1, very similar in size, but very different, obviously, as you can see, in style. And let's look at one more size comparison, a fixed blade that we'll be doing a review on eventually. Gerber Strong Arm. Okay. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of an idea on that size. So let's look at specs real quick. So specs on this, we're looking at a 3.5-inch blade. Overall, 8.375 inches. This is VG10. Yeah, you can see it's Burnley design, IKBS. Let's see, 3.86 ounces is what is listed on Blade HQ. Guys, this is a pretty heavy knife. I would be surprised if it only weighed 3.86 ounces. It could be that it feels so heavy just because of how slim it is, and like the weight is kind of focused in this one singular area. But you can see how thick those liners are, and they are not skeletonized at all. So it feels pretty heavy. It says 3.86 ounces. I'd say it probably weighs a little bit more than that though. The handles on this specific one, they come in a lot of different styles, but these are Kokobola. I've talked about how awesome that Kokobola looks, and it does look awesome. Let's see what else. Obviously, it's a flipper design, and it is a liner lock right there. You can see that. So, all right, let's get into what I like first about the Boker Kwaiken. So, I've talked about this so many times. Look at how pretty this knife is, guys. I mean, when it's closed, it looks like a pen almost. Like it's very classically designed, very striking in a simple way, if that makes sense to you guys. And then when it's deployed, you have that, I guess you could call that a trailing point. I think there's a specific style. I think it's Japanese in origin. It might be Kwaiken. That might be the style of blade. Anyway, it looks almost trailing point. Well, I really like a classic Japanese tanto almost, but with a less, aggressive kind of secondary tip. Anyway, it's just a gorgeous knife. You guys can really just see the blade, the accents, that cutout right there. Blade is beautiful. And then this handle obviously is gorgeous. I think that overall, this is just a gorgeous knife. It's like pocket jewelry, like you pull it out and it just makes you feel happy when you pull it out, right? Another thing I really like is this is running IKBS, which is a ball bearing system, a patented ball bearing system, which makes it very smooth. It deploys very, very smoothly. So I really like how smooth the deployment on this is. And yeah, it's just, the more you use it too, the smoother it's gonna get. So I think that's really, really cool. Another thing I absolutely love, and we talked about this in looks, but the Kokobola is just a great look. They came in different styles. I know you could get one in titanium, and I think one in G10, but I think that the Kokobola is probably the prettiest of them all. I love modern knives with classic styles to them, whether it be diamond wood or some kind of wood added to it. Or micarta, but I really prefer that kind of diamond wood or Kokobola. I think they're great materials for knife handles. I really also like how slim this is in pocket. Now again, it feels relatively heavy, but look at how much wider this is, right? You can see how much of a difference this really makes when you have a slim knife like this. Like I said, it's nearly like a pen almost with how slim it is. So you can kind of tell how much kind of wider that the Rat 1 would sit in pocket. So I like how slim this is, but it is in your pocket. Another thing I love is this blade. While it is really pretty, and guys, it is really pretty. It's just truthfully a beautiful blade design. It's very, very practical. It's VG10 for one, so solid steel. And then it's just got a nice gradual belly, kind of starting from the beginning, really. Like it's a constant sweep all the way to the top. So it slices nicely, it cuts nicely, and the tip is not too thin. It's also not too stout for a knife like this. So really like the blade. And last thing I want to talk about is with a lot of these knives, you know, Boker's known for making some really cool knives, the Kwaiken and, gosh, I can't remember. They make some really nice slim ones, also like the CRKT CEO. Those are all kind of, I guess, what people call gentleman's knives. They're slim, they're lightweight. I just realized I got some ink on my hand. But yeah, they're slim, lightweight, easy to carry usually. And so Boker makes a few of those, and so does CRKT. A lot of times my issue with those is that they're almost too lightweight. The liners are very thin. They can't really do much heavy work, but look at the liner on this, guys. I want to say the liners, yeah, it's thicker than the Rat 1. So this, while, you know, it's not going to be an Axis lock or a cold steel triad lock, that's no joke, right? That's a thick liner. That's a strong liner. So you could really use this for anything that you would need to, I would think. Not that you want to be taking a knife like this out in the woods. Unless you like to, then go for it, you know? But yeah, I appreciate that while this is also a very pretty knife, it also has, you know, some durability, some capabilities in practical day-to-day use. So I like that. No neutral point on this review. So let's move into what I don't like. So there's a couple of things. Guys, there's a couple of pointy edges on this knife, and they've poked me. So right here, if you can see where that cocobolo is, that's quite pointy, that cocobolo. It's not sanded down and contoured super well. It's not like crazy sharp, but you can definitely feel that. It doesn't feel great. And additionally, these are quite pointy as well, especially like right there and right there. There is a backspace right there. I believe that's aluminum. But yeah, so there's a couple of pointy edges that I don't really love. Now, when I'm carrying it in pocket and when I pull it out, like that's the thing that's sticking out. So, you know, that can kind of maybe get you. So yeah, there's just a few pointy edges. So the fit and finish overall, well, the fit and finish is quite nice. Those two kind of edges just, they're not quite there for me. So my biggest issue with this knife, because the pointy edges aren't a big deal. They're not that sharp. And if they really were, I could take 2 seconds and file them down. My biggest issue is not even with this clip. I don't hate this clip. It's not the best clip I've ever had, but it's the clip position. And you guys can see this. This is how much sticks out of your pocket. You know, let's compare that to this right here. Now, you wouldn't think that's that much more, and it isn't that much more, but the issue with this is you have this really thick, it's either a steel or aluminum backspacer that just adds a lot of weight right here. So there's just a lot of weight concentrated up here that's sticking out of your pocket. They designed it like this, I'm sure, because they wanted to have that lanyard hole. Guys, I'm going to wager, and if any knife companies are listening to me right now, having that clip ride that high is going to turn a heck of a lot more people off to buying this knife than the option of a lanyard hole. Because from what I understand and from what I've seen in the knife groups and the knife forums, some people do like to have lanyards, but most people don't. Vast majority don't. And the ones that do, you know, if they really like a knife design, they'll buy the knife anyway, even if it doesn't have a lanyard hole. So personally, I think Boker's turning a few more people off to this knife than they are turning them on to this knife, simply because that clip is just, it rides way too low, guys. It should ride higher up. I don't mind the clip. It's low profile. It's kind of brushed stainless steel, and it matches, and I think it looks pretty good. If it were mounted up here, I think it would be awesome, and it would carry so much better. But right now, it carries so high, and you have a lot of weight up top. And so that's really my primary issue with the knife. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is this flipper is a little bit smooth. I don't have another flipper on my table, but I know why they did that. It's to keep it slim. It's to keep it, you know, low profile. But it really does take pushing this in the right position and hitting it correctly to get it to deploy correctly. So, but it's something that you get used to as you own the knife. So it's not a huge deal, but it is something that I don't like. I wish there was a little bit more traction on that. So what is unique about the Boker Kwaiken? So I think what's unique is that this is a gorgeous blade that really, it has a lot of function. You know, again, this isn't going to be a knife I'm going to bring out in the woods. Usually I bring a fixed blade out in the woods, but if you just had this knife and, you know, you wanted to carry it all the time, you really enjoy it, you like the way it looks, like the way it feels, it's comfortable in hand. It's not as comfortable as, say, a knife like this that's contoured, but still very comfortable. I could use this probably all day, no hot spots or anything like that. This would be a great option because not only is it gorgeous, but it also is very functional. With that blade, with that strong lockup and the good steel, I just think that's what's unique. Is a lot of times companies say, well, you know, a knife is great because it functions well, or a knife is great because it looks good. Well, it's both, right? And so sometimes it's nice to have the best of both worlds. A really good looking knife that also functions and can handle some tough work. And I think that's what's unique about the Boker Kwaiken. So I absolutely recommend it. I'm not sure about the lightweight versions, but if they take a lot of these design elements, I'd love to get my hands on one. I'm sure they're fantastic. So pick up one of these. I think they're a good deal. I didn't mention price because these are discontinued. I think these were going for around $100 when they were being sold. But yeah, I think that the Boker Kwaiken is a really cool design, and even the lightweight, kind of smaller, and the smaller versions probably are as well. So yeah, absolutely recommend it, guys. Pick one up, especially if you can find one of these on the secondhand market. Okay, let me know what you would like to see reviewed next. That is all for this review, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.